are terrible. They're awful. I will not watch them. I will not. Oh, hi, Tom.
Oh, hi, babyface.
Oh, hi, doggy.
So how's your sex life?
I don't understand women, but I know they're evil.
Hey, put those comments in your pocket, babyface. Are you ready to talk about Heather's, the Blair Witch Project, and The Room?
No, you betray me with these movies, Jude.
But Alex, we have to watch them. You know how competitive the podcast business is.
You're tearing me apart, Jude.
Come on, Alex. Let's go watch some one-hit wonder movies.
Oh, well. You know what they say. Love of movies is blind.
Hey everyone, the test results came back. I definitely have breast cancer.
Welcome everyone, thank you for joining us. Today's theme is one-hit wonders. So movies that were created by directors that blew up and then they've never done anything good since. We're talking some crazy movies that I have taken pride in not watching and now I have ruined my streak. So it's gonna be, thanks podcast. It's gonna be a great day. I'm really excited to be here today. I've got an awesome panel of nerds with me. Tom is filling in for Mr. Vader. What's up, man? How you doing?
Just filling this chair, bro. Filling this chair. I want to say thank you. I've always wanted to watch Heather's and just never, ever watched Heather's. And so I got the opportunity this week.
Yeah, it was the first watch for me too.
I got the opportunity.
Yeah.
So thank you.
What a hell of an opportunity
What
it
an
was.
opportunity. This whole week was just one big goddamn opportunity, wasn't it?
That is one way to look at it.
God damn it.
Silver lining for sure.
Yeah.
I'm also joined by the ambassador of estrogen, Jude.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great. You know what? Kadish, Tom, and I watched all three of these together this week.
Together?
Yeah.
Oh man, I missed the party.
Yeah.
Dang work. Mr. Kadish, the man behind the curtain. What's up, dude?
Yeah, this was actually a very fun week, and I think I got my revenge for you making me watch The Happening and making you watch The Room. So that was very satisfying for me. Yes.
I would watch The Happening 1,000 times before rewatching The Room.
God damn, The Room sucks, doesn't it?
So bad.
It's so unredeeming.
So
I promised Matt I wouldn't say a goddamn word about it, but you know what? Man, that movie sucks so bad.
So bad. I think the only reason why people like it is because it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's ludicrously bad. And that's the only reason why it's famous. There's other terrible movies out there
That are good.
that are funny.
I've seen great terrible movies.
This isn't even close.
Velocipaster.
Oh, all right.
That's fun.
So if you haven't,
Samurai Cop.
Samurai Cop's actually pretty good.
Six String Samurai.
Six String Samurai is great.
That's different. That's different. I
Yeah.
actually think that's like more art house and so it's a very different than a bad movie.
Right.
Six String Samurai actually very worth watching.
Yeah.
Matt turned us onto that one. Very worth watching. Not exactly a bad movie. Not exactly.
All right,
exactly.
guys. So if you're along for this ride, we're going to be talking about Heathers with Winona Ryder and Christian Slater, aka Mini Jack Nicholson. And then secondly, we're going to be doing the Blair Witch Project, which I haven't watched in like a decade and a half, probably. It's wild to revisit that one. And last, Tommy Wiseau's The Room. So if you're along for the ride, please join us. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you're brand new here, subscribe, help support the podcast. We do this every single week. We talk about crazy freaking movies all the time. We have a ton of fun doing it. So welcome, everybody. We're going to take a quick break before we get into Heathers. Welcome back, everybody. All right, the first movie on our list is Heathers. Jude, take it away.
All right, sir. I'm going to give you the synopsis of Heathers in just a second, but first I want to tell you how you can help support our show for free. If you are watching us on YouTube right now, do us a favor and hit that like button. Pretty please. If you are listening on the audio only, just scroll down on your device and hit that 5th star. Give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us out. And if you have time for it, leave us a comment. We always read them and we might read yours on the show. And those are the free ways that you can help us that really do help us. You can tell a friend about us, and that also is free. I don't know if you knew that. If you have money, we love money. We would like some of yours. We have a Patreon set up at saltynerdclub.com where you can join the Patreon and you can get some stuff for that. So we have 4 extra episodes that we do every single month for our patrons only. And you can join us on Discord and chat with us every day about the nerd stuff, the nerd culture, the pop culture that you love and want to talk about. We're there. We're ready to talk about it with you. And every single month we do a trivia based on our Patreon episodes that we have our patrons join in with us. And we need someone to kind of take on the champion because it's becoming impossible. So we need more people to join the club, join the Patreon, and join the trivia. And that's it, you guys. And now, 1988 Heathers. Rated R with a runtime of 1 hour, 43 minutes. This had a budget of $3 million. Alex, what do you think this brought into the box office?
Budget $3 million. It's a one-hit wonder. So it was probably immensely popular at the time. I'm going to say it made $65 million.
Okay.
That's a lot of 80s money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas,
I was
what do you
gonna-
think?
It's a one-hit wonder for a reason.
I was going to say like 25 million. I mean, that's
Okay.
a big, I mean, for the investment, that's a big return. So I'm saying like 25 million.
Okay.
Okay, way off. This was not successful upon its initial release. It is considered a cult classic. This made $1 million on its $3 million budget.
Wait a second.
Wait, I thought this was one-hit wonders, not cult classics. This
Yeah.
is really cult classics.
It's a wonder now.
Oh, it's a wonder it survived.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, the same with The Room. Do you
Oh,
think that The
that-
Room...
I was not involved with any of the decision making. I just want to be upfront.
So
I
I want to make something clear here. So first of all, the target audience for this was not able to go see an R-rated movie at the time because this was for teenagers, right? This was a
Right.
teen movie.
Okay.
So even though it underperformed at the box office, and a lot of that was because New World Pictures, which was the distributor of this film, was going bankrupt at the time it was released, and so like they couldn't really put any money behind the marketing. When it came out on home video, its audience was able to find it, and that's when it blew up. And so like this movie's had a long shelf life after its theatrical run. And that is why it is a one-hit wonder, because Michael Lehmann, the guy who directed this movie, never went on to do anything else of note after this film kind of like flopped at the box office. So.
I feel like my enjoyment of this movie is skewed by Stranger Things because like before Stranger Things,
sure.
I knew Winona Ryder from like Edward Scissorhand, but I wasn't a huge fan of hers. But her acting, I'm not saying that I didn't like her. I'm just saying
Have
like,
you looked at her?
listen,
My goodness.
calm down, 80s babies.
Just gonna do one of these and just say, oh.
I'm not saying I wasn't a fan of her because I didn't like her or anything like that. I just didn't have a big library of her content. Like I knew Edward Scissorhands, and that was pretty much it from Winona Ryder. Now that I've been watching like Stranger Things, like her work as Joyce Byer, like I fucking love Winona Ryder now. And I go back and I watch movies like this, and I'm like I do that thing because I'm like a huge fan of her now. So I think that kind of skewed how much I like this movie. I'm not sure if I didn't have that context from the new Stranger Things seasons, if I would look at this movie the same way.
Sure.
It's a weird thing. But anyway, synopsis.
Yes.
Let's go for it.
All right. Winona Ryder and her frenemies rule Westerberg High School, but for Veronica, it's boring at the top. When she runs into new kid Christian Slater at a convenience store, she thinks, I'd slurp the shit out of his slushie, and they start running into each other on purpose. When Veronica embarrasses herself at a college party, Heather number 1 vows to make her life miserable come Monday. So she and JD break into Heather's house Saturday morning. Veronica just wants to make her a hangover cure that'll induce her to vomit, but JD has other plans. He fills a glass with drain cleaner and feeds it to Heather, killing her. The pair decide to cover their tracks by making it look like a suicide, and JD starts thinking this is actually a pretty great way to get rid of more people in the school. And then he starts thinking that he should get rid of everyone in the school, and also the school. He rigs the school with bombs to blow during the pep rally. Veronica confronts him in the boiler room, shooting him and preventing the basement bomb from going off. Having been left for dead, JD re-rigs the bomb, straps it to himself, and tells Veronica goodbye, walking out into the parking lot to die alone. Discuss.
This movie is so fucked up.
You wrapped it up nicely.
This
Thank
movie
you.
is so fucking dark.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
I wasn't around in 88 for like high school age stuff. Obviously, I was born in 88, so
it was just like this.
I don't really have a lot of context. Like
exactly like this.
Like I don't have a lot of context for what was going on in like the teenage culture. But I'm like, is this what freaking kids were like thinking life was like? Is this
the most fucked up part? Is how the school is like, we want your suicide to be like really meaningful for you.
Yeah.
Like
it was so fucked. Like okay. I can't just say the movie is fucked up over and over again.
I don't want anyone to think that we're making light of
but that's suicide. That's what makes this movie dangerous to talk about.
It's so dark.
It's super dark. Like
it is a dark comedy.
Yeah,
I mean it's one of the original dark comedies apparently.
I guess.
And this came
it's
out
also social satire.
Yeah, and this came out the same year as Beetlejuice, didn't it?
Beetlejuice came out the year before this.
Okay.
It was some sort of weird release situation. Like they both say 88, but this also says 89. It's like a weird thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just the Heathers, like immediately the first scene that we get with them and they're sitting and there's like little perfectly manicured grass and they're playing freaking crochet or whatever.
Cricket.
It's called cricket. Crochet is
not crochet.
Croquet.
Crochet is the.
It's just tomato.
Yeah, same thing.
Sure.
I got you, man.
Like immediately I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is like the Powerpuff Girls or something. Like you got the red one, you got the yellow one, and you got the green one, and they're all like the same personality but different. You're
bringing up an interesting point. They all, the main girl and Winona Ryder wear the same colors throughout the whole movie. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Like Winona Ryder's wearing blue the entire movie.
I think if you're somebody like Kadish and you're like really analyzing the filmmaking process of this, like there's a lot of subtle hints as to what's going to happen just visually. And the dialogue is like something different to like distract you. But like watching the characters, their outfits and everything seems very deliberate.
Oh, it's like me and you, Alex, because you have the blue lights behind you and I have the red ones behind me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm the evil one?
Yes.
No, it's just like it's like the dark brooding one.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, no, you're the red one?
I feel that.
Oh, that means you're the boss bitch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you're the boss
I'm probably
bitch.
going to get killed off, though.
Oh, yeah, you're the first to go. Yeah.
But
it's lonely on the top. Yeah.
But this, I don't know, man. This movie, like I was watching it, and I've never even heard of this movie before. I had no idea what to expect.
You've never heard of Heathers?
Nope, never once.
It's legit like cult. I mean, when they say cult classic, I mean it's.
This is what they're talking about.
This is really one of those movies.
I get that.
Oh yeah.
I had no context for what I was walking into.
Well, now that you've seen it, do you understand why it's a cult classic?
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's an interesting movie.
It's very fascinating, and it's like one of those movies that you could watch multiple times, and I feel like you'd get something different out of it each time.
Oh yeah.
Like it ages very well.
Yeah, I think it's decent to watch. It's really fucked up.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of rape. There's a lot of like it's like consensual rape. Is that how women had sex in the 80s?
No, I don't want you to say it like that.
I never had sex in the 80s, and I'm just wondering if it was just like basically forced, but like kind of like a thumbs up.
You went to school the next day and you were like, "Oh, I guess we had sex," or "Well, I really want him to like me, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of it."
He's my boyfriend now.
Yeah.
That's so messed up.
It's so weird.
The really messed up part for me as watching this is like the domino effect of the murder/suicides of like because
suicide becomes the cool thing to do.
It becomes the cool thing.
Yeah.
That was so messed up. I was like the popular girl gets killed and they stage it as a suicide, and then all the unpopular kids want to be like her, so they start trying to commit suicide themselves. I was like, oh, it blew my mind that this movie even went that direction.
Do you know what that tells me? It tells me kids have always been the goddamn same. Like even now, even then, they're all just trying to copy each other, and whoever they perceive as the cool one, it doesn't seem to matter what they're doing and what they're saying. They just want to emulate.
Right.
I mean, it's like that's why we read Shakespeare, right? It's supposed to relate to today. Yeah. And I'm definitely not calling Heathers Shakespeare. But it is an interesting insight. I mean, the social commentary on this is fascinating because really it's the same stories happening today.
I couldn't get over Christian Slater. Like the same thing with Winona Ryder.
It was funny because you text messaged us and you're like, why is Christian Slater doing a Jack Nicholson impression?
Yeah. Legit.
And it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because like we were just like, oh, that's just Christian Slater. But Christian Slater's actually on record as saying that, he based his performance off of Jack Nicholson. And he even wrote Jack Nicholson a letter asking, if it was cool if he like kind of like modeled his performance after him. And he's like, yeah, Jack Nicholson never got back to me. So.
Never did. Because like immediately I'm watching this and I thought he was doing an impression from like The Shining or something. I'm like, he's acting just like fucking
I never noticed it until you said it.
Yeah.
And then, oh my God, he's even got the eyebrows.
Yeah.
It's like Baby Jack.
It's baby Jack Nicholson.
Baby Jack.
Yeah, the whole movie, and he's a psychopath. He's so crazy, and
Yeah,
he's
unlikable. I don't like his character.
No, I don't like his character
He's not
either.
fun.
He's the villain.
He's awful.
Yeah, he's manipulative.
Yeah.
He's a liar, and he's a freaking murderer.
Like a legit sociopath. Like
Yes.
a sociopath psychopath.
Yeah,
And I'm pretty sure she's banging him the whole movie.
maybe.
She's like kind of okay with it, right? Like,
I don't know, man. It's so weird.
Like this guy's intentionally murder. Dude, his first scene, he pulls out a handgun,
Dude,
and
Yeah.
fake blows 2 people away.
yeah.
And everyone's like,
Well,
"Oh my God, he is so edgy."
The conversation that they had after the fact.
It's completely different than it would happen now if that were to happen.
My
Yeah,
God,
like-
he'd be locked up forever.
I
They let him go back to school.
it's just it's just really poor timing on our part that we watched this movie right after some real world events happened, and I was watching it and I was like, oh shit, I gotta talk about this. This is gonna be weird. Like,
It's a crazy ass movie.
like the 2 jock bullies come up to Christian Slater and start like poking fun at him and whatever, and he freaking straight up pulls like Dirty Harry out of his pocket and like shoots, and then it cuts. So like the movie makes you for at least 30 seconds, the movie makes you assume that he just blows these guys away.
Or
Yeah.
that it's a fantasy.
Or it's a
When
fantasy
we
or
were
a
watching
dream.
it together, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that was a dream.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the next scene and I was like, wait, what? Oh.
Yeah, and then the Winona Ryder and one of the Heathers were
They
talking
were
about
just blanks.
they were just blanks. He's not going to get suspended. I was like, fuck.
Like the hell you say?
It was the 80s. That stuff happened all the time.
Like no one had helmets back then. They were smoking cigarettes in high school.
You ever seen a car seat from the 80s?
Did they have them in the
I
80s?
don't think they had him. I don't remember
it
having
just
a car
kind of
seat.
hooks over the seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. I mean, I barely remember seat belts when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Growing up, I never had a car seat. That was not a thing.
Yeah,
So what you're
same.
saying is it was funny to pull the gun prank.
I guess.
In the 80s?
I guess.
Well, in the 80s, that was a prank. Now it would be.
oh, you'd be in jail.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
it
you
would
would.
be
Tried as an adult,
That's an
like,
attack.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the trauma that would be in that lunchroom in today's
Just
society?
the-
There would be not one dry eye in the building. It'd be on the news.
The way
Or a set of pants.
Oh my God.
right.
Right.
The way that
It's
the school
not a safe space.
The way that this school in this movie reacts to the suicides of all these of the students.
It's fucked
It
up.
should be clear.
They have-
none of these people committed suicide. They all get
murdered.
Yeah.
They like celebrate it and they like have pep rallies and shit. It's so weird, man.
And the unpopular kids try to commit suicide and fail.
And
because
they're
they wanna be
like,
cool.
the one line where I can't remember if it was one of the Heathers or what. Like, oh, it figures one of the unpopular people tried to emulate what we're doing and failed epically. That's just so normal for them. I'm like, oh,
This movie's fun.
it's so messed up.
This movie's
dude.
fun, man.
Like, be cautious if you're like sensitive to any of these topics. Like, don't watch this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching it, and I have no involvement in anything in the real world that would have like triggered me in that way. But I was just watching this, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is fucked up.
Well, let's not forget, it is satire.
Yeah.
It's like watching Blazing Saddles and being offended.
Fair point.
It's supposed to be over the top and ridiculous.
That's a fair
right?
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair
So
point.
so don't take it to heart. I think the problem with our modern perception
We
is
take everything literally.
everything's a personal attack
Yeah.
on our sensibilities, and we know somebody who knows somebody who and we make it personal.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's not forget this is satire,
And
this
it's
is we'll call it
35 years ago.
35. Yeah.
35. Yeah. I had to remember what age am I right now?
Yeah, it came out. I mean, I saw Beetlejuice then, but there's no way I would have seen this movie then. No, I mean, just no way.
It's so funny, the two characters, like, I thought it came out the same year, but maybe a year apart. But like in Beetlejuice, she's playing a child.
Yes.
And not that much longer. She is a woman in this.
Oh yeah, she looks amazing in this. Like not in every scene, but every once in a while she got a dress on, and you're like, Winona.
This one.
Yeah,
Her date
there it
scene,
is.
I'm like, holy shit,
There it
I
is.
want to look like that.
I was like, my goodness.
Yeah, so basically, originally Jennifer Connelly was going to be cast in this role,
That's a good one too.
but because of the subject matter, she backed out. And Winona Ryder had just come off of Beetlejuice, and she was like, "I really want this role," and everyone was telling her, "Don't take this role." Like, in fact, her agent said, "Like, this role will ruin your career. Do not do this movie." But she was like, "I don't know. Like, I just think that this movie is special, and I want to do it." And at first, Michael Lehmann, the director, he was like, "I don't know if she's pretty enough to be Veronica," but Winona Ryder.
Based on those baby bangs and Beetlejuice. Yeah, you're right.
Baby bangs?
Basically, Winona Ryder convinced him to give her a shot, and so she auditioned, and she was pretty much the only actress in town who was like really wanting to do this role, and so they were like, okay, we'll cast you. Mm-hmm. But also, a young Brad Pitt was supposed to play the Christian Slater role.
Really?
Yeah. And
we have a young Shannon Doherty.
And this is actually the movie that got her role on 90210 because Tori Spelling saw this and she was like, "Daddy, this actress is so good," and so she got cast in 90210 off of the success of this movie.
So, Kadish, do you have any context that you can kind of help me understand why this movie was made and in the way that it was? Like, is what was going on in this time period with this filmmaker where he would want to make a movie that's this messed up?
So a lot of this is actually down to the writer. His name's Daniel Waters. And he basically, at the time, there were like a lot of like kind of John Hughes, like teen movies coming out. And he wanted to make the anti-John Hughes movie. And so he wrote this in response to stuff like The Breakfast Club and stuff like that, where he was like, I want to go dark and I want to go crazy. And when he wrote the original draft of this screenplay, he was lobbying really hard to get it to Stanley Kubrick because he's like, this is a Stanley Kubrick movie. Only Stanley Kubrick can make a 3-hour, dark, depressing, sardonic satire of high school. And of course, Stanley Kubrick being Stanley Kubrick, he's like, nah. I'm not wasting my time with this.
You're too thirsty, bro.
Yeah.
So eventually the script got picked up and the director, Michael Lehmann, this was his first movie in addition to being Daniel Waters' first movie. And so they just kind of teamed up and started trying to get it made. And at the time, this was one of the most controversial movies ever made about high school. Like you said, it's very heavy with satire. It's very dark. The subject matter is very morose. It dealt with a lot of stuff like, homosexuality and rape and all this other stuff. And of course, the biggest one being suicide. And so it was almost radioactive in Hollywood. People are like, we don't want anything associated with this. Because at the time, this was like you didn't make movies like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This was super taboo.
Well, to be fair, there's not a lot of movies like this. There's not a lot.
I would struggle to think anybody would even make it now.
Yeah,
in today's culture,
there's no
freaking way they would make this movie.
No effing
now.
way.
Yeah. So
maybe David Lynch could make this movie.
That would be real messed up. I don't like his movies.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But I think if anybody today could do it, I would think that he could.
Well, what were we talking about? Jawbreaker is very similar, right? Very similar movie.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Seen
It's
that
about
either.
a bunch of pretty girls in high school that kill each other.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. This is the original Mean Girls.
Yeah. I
almost.
mean, Mean Girls is very campy.
Nobody dies in Mean Girls.
Yeah, they're just mean.
They're just mean. They're just bullies.
They just wear pink on Wednesday.
Yeah,
I don't
Wednesday.
remember. Is it Wednesday?
You can't sit with us.
Yeah, but so this movie was financed by a company called New World Pictures, and as it was being made, New World Pictures started going bankrupt. And so by the time this movie got released in theaters, they didn't have any money to really put behind it, and it kind of just flopped at the theaters. But it was also rated R, and the audience for this was 1980s teenagers, and teenagers couldn't go see an R-rated movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those situations where basically it found its audience on home video and on HBO and stuff like that. And once it did, it kind of reached this level, they've tried to do sequels and remakes and TV versions of this, but nothing's ever come close to the magic of the original movie. And this was a very seminal movie. If you went to high school in the 80s, you've seen this movie, and it's had an impact on you because it does kind of put into context the different social castes in high school and makes fun of all of them. And it's a really interesting movie.
Well, the tone of the movie is interesting because it is funny. It is funny.
Yeah.
Even the
if you have a twisted sense of humor, like we often do.
Oh, well, I mean, it's right up my alley.
The funniest part in this movie were the cops who figured out that the kids were gay.
Yeah.
By the Evian bottle?
Yeah. By
the bottle of water. Yeah.
Dude, so there's so many good lines too.
Where are they from? They're in Ohio or something like that? Yeah, they're in Ohio if you drink sparkling water.
Ohio, yeah. I grew up in Ohio, and that is not far off from the truth. The funniest part of this movie is the dad of the football player who they they murdered these two guys. They're assholes in the school, and they make it seem like they committed suicide in a lover's suicide pact because they were gay and they couldn't be gay in the world.
Yeah, no one would understand.
Yeah, and so the funniest part is the dad at the funeral being like, I don't care that you were gay. I love my dead gay son. He just starts yelling, I love my dead gay son.
Yeah.
And it's not funny, but it's hilarious.
But
yeah, it's hilarious.
It's so dark.
It's so dark.
But it's also really funny.
Yeah.
So this movie actually went through multiple different endings. Like they had like a variety of endings that they were kind of like trying to figure out which one to go with. And in one ending, so like there's this character named Dump Truck throughout the
Martha Dump Truck,
who's like this fat girl, and everyone makes fun of her because she's fat and she's awkward. Plus size. And, she tries to commit suicide throughout, at a certain point in the film because she wants to be cool and she kind of fails at it. And in one of the original endings, she ends up killing Veronica at the end after Veronica saves the school. And like, she's like, fuck you, Heather, and like leaves her to die. And Veronica's last words are like, my name's not Heather. Another one was that, so Veronica decides that JD is ultimately right, and she blows up the school.
Whoa.
And then the ending is basically a big prom in heaven. And JD had talked about how like everyone gets along in heaven. And so like it showed like how all the social classes came together only after they died. And the studio was like, yeah, we don't like that one. Can we make it more
that's
more
a little
hopeful?
too encouraging towards
but I mean, if you think about like, the things facing like school violence nowadays, and it's like this one touches on all of them. It's got like school shootings, it's got bombs in school, it's got suicide, it's got murder, it's got like bullying, it's got all this stuff. And it kind of like makes fun of it all. And in a weird way, it works. It's a very strange movie.
It works. Out of the three movies, I mean, I actually enjoyed this. I mean, it's a good watch. It's fun.
I don't know if I can say, because I'm gonna have a really hard time rating this movie because I don't think I can say I enjoyed it in like that was a fun, entertaining movie way.
Oh yeah,
it was just fascinating. Like I was stuck to the screen like, what are they trying to tell me right now? I was trying to decipher the message behind it.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. There's so many different things coming at you, whether it's like sex in high school or whether it's social classes and depression and suicide and cliques and this and that. There's so many things that it's putting a magnifying glass over. And I was just like, this is a fascinating movie, but I don't think I could say I liked it.
So we talk about all the time, like when we shouldn't laugh at something because like it's dark.
It's too sacred. You can't laugh at that.
But this movie speaks to like the core of me. And this is one of those movies that made Jude, because like I say all the time, like sometimes something really dark can also be really funny. And that's like at the core of comedy. You joke about something and it's at the core of like coping with shit. Sometimes you have to laugh through it.
Like dead baby jokes.
Exactly.
As we all laugh.
They're hilarious, but they're horrible.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like finding something in something dark that you can laugh through is so beautifully comedic and also dark. And this movie captures it and does it perfectly.
Okay.
I think you're really smart about that. It is cathartic to see something horrible and then be able to have a sense of humor about it, right? Yeah. It is cathartic.
Yeah. Like how many times have you been grieving about something and so you crack a joke?
Yeah,
that's a coping mechanism.
That's most people, right? I mean, most people will use humor to cover up being uncomfortable or insecure. You'll make jokes. We all remember high school. We all remember not knowing the answer to something, so we try to be funny, and then everyone laughs, and okay, now you feel better about it.
That was me and you not long ago when you had something going on in your personal life that we don't have to get into, but like you were coming home from that, and I was sending you "You're My Boy Blue" gifts to help you get through it.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
And the funny thing about this movie is like, Christian Slater's character JD, he hates these, popular kids, so-called. And so like he ends up killing the first Heather. And you know, he likes it because he's like, oh, I finally got my revenge on the popular kid. And then her suicide makes her even more popular, and it kind of backfires on him. And he's like, well, wait a minute. Like, if I can get away with killing by just, you know, making it look like suicide, I'm going to do that all day, every day.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, he comes up with these plots to like kill more kids. And
it's the first time he's actually enjoying his high school experience.
Yeah.
While he's plotting these murders.
Yeah, but ironically, he's making them even more popular than they were when they were alive. And it's that weird kind of like
if you strike me down, I'll become more popular
than you could possibly imagine.
Exactly.
The scene where he's trying to convince Victoria or
Veronica?
Veronica, thank you. He's trying to convince Veronica that it's like, oh, these are just special ammunition from Germany that like only slightly punctures the skin, but it doesn't actually hurt you. And then like later on, when she actually shoots the guy and kills him, and she's like freaking out about it, like, you lied to me, you told me this. And he's like, are you serious? You believed me? He's like, if you didn't want to actually do it, you wouldn't have done that.
Gaslighting 101.
Yeah, it's straight up gaslighting. And I was like, holy shit. Like, this movie has so many freaking like, put a freaking stamp on it and call it good moments. I was like, holy shit, that was crazy.
Let's put it this way. It's worth rewatching.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that makes it pretty good.
It does.
Yeah.
I can't say this is it's not a bad movie in any way. It's just
weird.
It's actually a pretty great movie.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed watching it. It is weird as shit. I do like, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, I am a fan of weird shit just in any ways. I love interesting, weird. I love one-offs. Like, this is very unique. I don't think I can compare it to too much. Could not, I mean, loosely, sure, but it's one of its kind. And so that makes it interesting all by itself. And watching it once wasn't enough. I really do think I should watch it again.
Okay.
It's an interesting movie.
Katie, she had what the writer wanted to do for a sequel. Take it away.
Yeah, so like Daniel Waters basically came out in an interview and he kind of said like, you know, like if I could make a sequel to this movie, this is what I would do. And he kind of equated modern day politics to high school in terms of like, you know, its maturity and like, you know, caste system and popularity and stuff like that. And so basically for Heathers 2, he wants to bring back Winona Ryder. And basically she's going to be a staffer with a senator named Heather, played by Meryl Streep. At least he wants her to
Get out.
Yeah. And basically Veronica ends up assassinating different political figures. And ultimately she ends up killing the president, but it's a good thing because the president was awful. And I think Heather eventually ascends to the office of the presidency thanks to Winona Ryder, like killing all these political rivals and stuff.
Can the president be Jack Nicholson? Is that possible?
I don't think he's acting anymore. I think he retired. Yeah. He was having issues remembering lines.
I
and
mean,
stuff
Christian
like
Slater's probably
right.
still
Christian
available.
Slater
reprising his role.
Yeah.
So turns out he survived that bomb. We don't actually see him die on screen.
That's true.
That's
this is true.
We do see him lose his middle finger though.
Yeah.
Gets his middle finger shot off.
Yeah, they're pretty badass.
That's an interesting. So the only way I could see that working.
I don't hate that idea.
I don't hate that idea either.
Hate that idea.
Here's the thing though, is they would have to be completely non-biased and very nihilistic at looking at both sides of the political spectrum.
Who would direct it?
Like, you can't have like the bad president be Trump.
Right.
Then you just throw the whole thing out the window. It's got to be a neutral. Don't even say whether or not it's a Democrat or Republican. Just keep everything on the level. Go full satire. Kind of do like what The Boys does, where it's just like straight parody of everything happening.
Yeah.
I think that might work. And Winona Ryder is at like a new peak in her career with Stranger Things.
I think it would play.
I think it might work if they did it right.
Is Eric Kripke available for this?
I don't know, man. That'd be really interesting.
I'd probably watch it.
I probably would too.
Based on watching this, I'd probably watch it. I probably would. Yeah.
It would have to be done perfectly though.
Well,
like,
that's what I
there's
said. Like, who would direct it?
Matthew Kadish?
Why not get Michael Lehmann to come back? He's not doing anything.
Yeah. Be his big comeback.
No, because every time that happens, it is a tragedy. It is not good.
Okay,
it is not good.
What do you think of that premise as a Tarantino movie?
No, not Tarantino.
He's too flashy.
He wouldn't do it.
He's too flashy.
I don't want Tarantino.
Yeah, he'd have to write it.
Tiki Waititi. That's what I want.
Taika Waititi. Taika Waititi is not a bad option.
What about the guy who directed the Top Gun sequel? That guy, Spiderhead dude.
Oh, Spiderhead. I know you talk shit about the movie, but I actually really liked Spiderhead. I thought it was interesting. That's not a bad option.
That one on Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not watching that.
You should check it out.
Don't bother.
It's interesting.
Thank you, Matt.
Don't listen to him.
Thank you, Matt.
He's crazy. All right. Let's do final thoughts on Heathers. Tom, final thoughts, give it a rating. Do you have a favorite scene or anything like that?
I don't even know how you rate this movie. If we're doing a scale of
1 to 5.
1 to 5. Oh God, I'm gonna give it 3.5 Heathers out of 5.
Okay.
You can't give it a 4. Maybe I could give it a 4. I'm really torn. I like it because it's one of a kind. I dug it. I thought the characters were fun. It was just weird and enjoyable. Like I said, it's got rewatch written all over it. Like some movies you watch once, like Blair Witch Project, and you're good. You're good forever.
Never have to watch that again.
You're good forever. Yeah. But this one, very rewatchable. I feel like a Coen Brothers movie, I could watch it 30 times.
Yes.
And it would still be interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Maybe the Coen Brothers would do the
That
remake.
would be it.
Oh my God.
The Coen Brothers direct
Solved it.
the sequel to this movie.
They would do it right.
A political satire sequel. Yes.
They would do it. Very Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah.
Very,
Burn after reading.
Yeah, very burn
You
after
get
reading.
George Clooney play the president.
Fuck yeah,
Oh,
dude.
yes, you do.
Yes.
I think we nailed it. Yeah,
Perfect.
but no, it's fun. It's good. I would have liked a little bit of nudity. It would have amped it up a little bit. Winona Ryder was looking pretty cute. I don't know how old she is, so let's not make it weird. But yeah, a little bit, maybe a little bit.
Okay. All right. Jude, give it a rating. Final thoughts.
So I agree with a lot of what you said. Watchability, like rewatchability. I could watch this again and again. I have watched this again and again. I've made other people who've never heard of it before watch it, like you, Alex. It being like really like you said, like one of a kind. It's the first of its kind, I'm pretty sure. Dark comedy. No one had done this before. It didn't do well until people kind of started like seeing it for the genius that it is. So in that respect, like it's a one of a kind. I can't give it 3.5. It's a 5-star movie for me.
I can't argue with you. I can't
could
argue
watch
with you.
this again and again and get something else out of it every single time. Like it's just so dark and very well written, and like everything is set up perfectly. Like she's writing suicide notes for people, but it's set up earlier that she can copy people's handwriting. And like everything that happens, you don't question like, oh shit, that would never happen. You just go with it. And it just gives you the ability to just fully sink into it and enjoy the ride. 5 stars. 5 forged handwritten suicide notes out of 5.
Okay. Okay, just final thoughts. Give it a rating.
So this is a very interesting movie. It's deep on a lot of different levels, but it's also very entertaining. It's fun to get to see these early performances from Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. This is really the thing that put Christian Slater on the map, because it was like, you know, his first big movie. And it was kind of funny because when he started doing the movie, he was dating the girl that played the main Heather.
Heather number 1.
Heather number 1.
The red one.
But so like when he started doing this movie, he was dating that girl, and I think he helped get her cast. But throughout the course of the movie, he started dating Winona Ryder and dumped the first Heather for Winona Ryder. Yeah. And I think that both Winona Ryder and him have come out and said that like at the time they were like, well, we were both leads, so we were just kind of expected to be dating, and so like that's what we did. But I thought that was kind of funny. And the girl who played Heather number 2, there's a scene in this movie where like, you know, Winona Ryder and her are out and like tipping cows with like the 2 jocks. And one of the jocks is just basically like raping Heather number 2, and she's like so not into it
in the background, just casually raping her.
Yeah, but she's like going along with it because it's like, well, it's what I'm supposed to do. But the actress who played Heather number 2 lied about her age to get cast. She said that she was 18. And she was actually like 26. She was like the oldest person in the cast.
Whoa.
And after she got cast, she's like, oh, by the way, I'm actually 26. And they're like, well, you know, we think you can pull off 16 or like whatever. And then Shannon Doherty, you know, of course, like this was like her big kind of like breakout role, and it led to her getting cast in 90210. And yeah, like everything in this movie, it's a very well written movie. It's well made. It stands the test of time. But I don't love it. It's just like not my type of thing. So I got to give it 3 dead gay sons out of 5.
Jesus.
Heather number 1, the actress that played her, she died in 2001 of a brain tumor.
Oh, I did read something about like the people who died in the movie, the characters who died in the movie, like the actor counterparts to those characters died in like eerily similar ways.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, there was one actor who basically said like, you know, like, oh, if, you know, in the movie he said like, oh, I'll blow my brains out if this thing ever happened to me. And then like the actual actor, like years later, ended up shooting himself and committing suicide.
Wow.
And then the brain tumor lady, there's a line in this movie where like, oh, you're going to end up with a brain tumor or something like that. And then years later, the actress had a brain tumor. It's that adds another layer of like creepiness to this movie.
That curses are real.
Curses are real.
So this is a first time watch for me. I had no idea what to expect walking in, and probably within the first 30 minutes, I was just like glued. I was like, what is this movie? This is so weird. It's definitely something that after I'm going to digest it for a minute, I'll probably end up watching it again to see if I get anything else out of it. I do feel like it has like a Stanley Kubrick vibe where like, I feel like visually things mean something that I'm not picking up quite yet what the message is, but like the red scrunchie. That there's something about that red scrunchie, because when the lady wears it, the other Heather wears it after the first Heather dies, and everybody makes a big deal out of it, like, oh, you're wearing your red scrunchie, like you can't fucking do that.
It's
and
like the crown of the queen bee.
And like the significance of why each Heather wears a specific color, like one always wears yellow, one always wears green, so like shit like that. I feel like there's messaging behind that where I would like to kind of like dive into it and try and figure out what they were trying to tell me. Christian Slater as like mini Jack Nicholson. Never really seen him in a movie before, like as like a main character. He's always been like a side character.
I feel like he's always trying to channel James Dean.
It's something, yeah. He's pulling from a library of other actors for sure.
But is he trying, or is he just being that cool?
I don't know.
It's hard to say.
I liked how freaking weird and dark this movie went. I'm gonna give it a solid 3 severed middle fingers out of 5. It's good stuff. It's crazy weird. Don't watch it if you're like sensitive to this kind of stuff. But
No, do
watch it.
Do watch if you're sensitive. Like
You're gonna
knock yourself off your freaking pedestal for a minute and just watch something.
All right, Tom. That's fair enough.
You're welcome.
All right, that's it for Heather's crazy freaking movie. Next up is the Blair Witch Project.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that one. We'll be right back and we'll get into it. Stand by.
I love my dead gay son.
Welcome back, everybody. The next movie on our list is The Blair Witch Project. Before we get into it, I want to remind you that if you want to support the podcast, you can go to saltynerd.com/DC and download Dragon Champions. So if you're in the woods by yourself screaming because a witch is chasing you, you can download Dragon Champions and play that in any way and make yourself feel safer in your little tent. It's a really easy, that was a really hardcore pitch on that one.
I loved it.
Sorry.
It was a delight.
saltynerd.com/DC. Help run away from the witches. Anyway, download your own witch. There's witches in this game too. You can download your new character and upgrade them and go on raids and have a lot of fun. If you reach level 20 after typing in the promo code SALTY in the promo code area, it gives you a little bit of a leg up. Get to level 20, you can join our guild, which is ran by one of our patrons, JT. Shout out to that guy. He's awesome. We have a lot of fun with the game. Matt Vader's working his way up. Master Chief over here, freaking Kadish, is level 80 plus. He's been playing it forever, but he's the master class. We're all trying to just catch up to him. Anyway, so help support the podcast. Like I said, type in that promo code SALTY to get credit and give us credit. The developers help support the podcast. We want to return the favor. And it's a lot of fun. All right. The Blair Witch Project. Man, this is like, I think this might be the definition of a one-hit wonder.
It's up there.
It's up. Yeah, definitely up there. All right, Jude, take it away. What is the synopsis for the Blair Witch Project?
First I'm going to give you the budget.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So,
oh my God, this is fascinating. What is the budget?
1999, The Blair Witch Project, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour 21 minutes.
21 minutes.
The budget for this was $60,000.
$60,000.
What do you think this brought into the box office?
Oh God, it was a huge hit.
It was a hit.
It made massive amounts of money, but I have no idea what. I don't know. I'm
Take
going
a
to
shot in
say
the dark.
$100 million.
Thomas?
Sounds like so much, but possible. I'm gonna $50 million.
$248 million.
Holy shit!
So this movie actually
got that money.
This movie actually holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the top box office ratio, budget to profit. Record.
Almost $300 million for a $60,000 budget.
For every dollar they spent on this movie, they made $10,931.
I hope they went back and repaid those 3 people.
That's what I'm wondering. Matt, do you know who received that money?
The studio that released it.
What does that mean?
The studio, what's their take, though?
So no one who made that movie made any money?
I don't think so.
No, they did. They did. I think that's one of the reasons they haven't done anything since. They
banked it and bound. Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
3 actors in it. You think they got their just
like,
desserts?
That's what I'm wondering.
Actors get paid for doing the work, and then sometimes in the contract they'll put in like, I want 1% of the gross box office return. Like sometimes they do that, but that's not in every contract.
Yeah, so this was one of those movies where
the merchandising rights.
They premiered it at the Sundance Film Festival after doing like kind of like a viral marketing campaign to drum up buzz for it, and it got bought at the festival for like $1 million. And then the studio that bought it pumped in like $700,000, something like that, for like post-production and re-editing and mastering. In fact, the movie looked too good originally, so like they had to grain it up and make it look like a little bit dirtier. And so like this movie, even though like it was shot and originally made for $60,000, I think like the budget's closer to like $1 million when
after marketing and everything, right? Yeah.
Well, not just
the marketing was
the marketing was amazing.
Yeah, not just the marketing though. Like I think the marketing's something separate, but just to like finish the film, get it ready for like a wide release and stuff like that. So, but yeah, this is one of those movies where the marketing for the film is actually better than the film itself.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
And we're going to get into that.
And no one, this had never been done before, and people didn't know that this really wasn't real.
I was gonna,
People thought this was real.
Yeah, I saw that shit in the theaters.
Yeah,
and it was uncomfortable to watch. Yeah.
You ready for the synopsis?
Yeah, go for it, because there's something I want to talk about. But go ahead.
Okay.
Apparently, we're all jazzed up to talk about this movie.
Who knew? It's better to talk about than it is to watch. But let me tell you what it's about. 3 white people went out into the woods to fuck with a murder witch and were never seen again. Please discuss.
I will say, okay, I gotta
a Geico commercial.
I gotta reel back.
No, let's hide in the chainsaws.
Oh god, yes, yeah,
yes.
That's exactly what it is. Let's go towards the weird, creepy noise. Okay, so I saw this movie in the theaters, 1999, whatever.
What? How old were you?
I was 11?
6?
11 or 12, something like that.
11 or 12, yeah. All right.
Watching rated R movies, for shame.
I'm a movie buff. Anyway, so I remember seeing this movie when it first came out, and I was like you said, it was uncomfortable to watch because it felt real and weird and creepy. And I grew up in like the New England woods area, so that added another element of creepiness to it. And I had never seen it since.
Yeah,
it was one of those things. I was just one of those things that you're like, oh yeah, I saw the Blair Witch Project. I don't need to watch it again. And rewatching it, it does not hold up. It's frustratingly bad. Yeah, like the things that I used to think were cool about it was like, oh, the shaky cam and the found footage stuff. Like now it's just frustrating because I can't fucking see what's happening. And I'm like,
well, there's little to no story.
Yeah, they're just lost, and they're like ad-libbing, being frustrated and lost. Yeah, and it comes off kind of dumb. And I was really frustrated with the one dude. I can't remember. It was like Mark or something. It was the camera guy, Mike. He was just like started like for no reason, just started screaming into the woods.
Fucking bullshit! Mike, chill.
Just relax, Mike.
Don't fucking tell me to relax.
And I'm like, why are you screaming, dude?
But
like,
okay. You're looking at it through the lens of I've seen Paranormal Activity and I've seen all these other things that are just like it. Remember the first time you saw it. It's the we don't know what's going on aspect that made it so crazy and so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The problem is we've seen this shit again, and we've seen it like 20 times since then. And
I think this might have been my second watch.
No, that's what I mean. But I mean, we've seen other things very similar, right?
Yeah.
Found footage shit. I mean, VHS was a better adaptation than this would ever be, right? VHS was very creepy. This was
You're talking about the movie VHS.
Yeah, not like the actual plastic cassette tape. Yeah. No, I mean like, the actual movie VHS.
Yeah, there's a couple other movies that use this very similar, the found footage thing is Quarantine is like a zombie movie that takes place. That was decent.
Better. Better.
And then
the Blackwell Ghosts. Movies.
Oh, that's so stupid. I don't understand why you love that so much.
I love that series.
I actually
because no one's ever heard of it and only Matt has.
I actually like the first Cloverfield.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
So I read something years ago about the making of this, and Kadish can probably tell me if it's accurate or bullshit. But while they were filming this, the 3 actors in this didn't know the story. They would get notes from like the writer or the director or something, and that would be like, so you actually did kick, you got the map, you stole the map, and then you kicked it, and now you're going to reveal it and react. And then like he would like slip somebody else a note that would be like something else that we don't know is coming, and the other ones didn't know also, so they all had to kind of react to it just
something?
based on like a little note. Did you read that too or hear that?
So the way that this movie was shot was basically they had like a film crew with the 2 directors and like 3 or 4 of their assistants, not far away from the actors, and the actors were given basically the cameras, and they were told a scenario. They before they started shooting, they went over like a 35-page outline of like, here's how the movie's going to go, but the actors didn't know the details of what was going to happen as they were trekking through the woods. And so like the actors would be given like directions of like, okay, here's where you need to get to. And so like they would just film themselves like hiking through the woods. And then once they got to the area they were supposed to go to for the day, there would be like a drop box almost like something there that they would open up, and it would have instructions for each one of them on like what their ad lib scenario for that night was going to be. And so like there was no lines of dialogue that they had to memorize. They were all just kind of like ad-libbing stuff as it went. And it was kind of funny because the actors' real names are the names of their characters in this movie. Mm-hmm. And that was a decision made because they were like, it'd just be easier during improv because like we don't have to, like, if we hear our own names, we're going to be reacting to it and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons why they're named after like the actual actors who went into the woods. And because of that, like their families got like condolences cards when the marketing started happening.
God.
Yeah.
Like Heather's mother got calls from their neighbors. It's like, we just heard about Heather. Oh my God, are you okay?
So I'm really curious to know this because I heard a rumor that the FBI actually got involved in investigating the disappearance of these people because,
that sounds about right.
Because they saw the marketing and they saw this movie and they legitimately thought it was found footage.
So I have to talk a little bit about the marketing of this movie. So the first of all, this movie, it was the first found footage film that actually gained like kind of like wide acceptance.
And I think it was the first movie that had ever been like marketed on the like internet.
So here's what happened. Okay. Right. So
on the AOL.
my first year of film school, I saw a IFC Independent Film Channel kind of like promotional thing on this movie, and it was presented as like the real thing, like these filmmakers went into the woods, they disappeared, a year later their footage was found. And originally this movie was actually closer to 3 hours long. And the reason it was 3 hours long was because the filmmakers had actually shot a lot of stuff that would cut back to like after the footage was found, and like the police searching for these people and like the family reactions and stuff like that. And they decided ultimately to cut all that stuff out of the finished film because they just wanted to focus on like the cool, scary stuff. But I
think that was the right choice.
But they took that stuff and basically used it for the marketing materials as like actual like news footage and like this is the search that happened and stuff like that. And they were the first movies to actually create a website that had all this stuff on there to make it look like it was like a real website that was dedicated to the search for these filmmakers.
Genius, absolute genius.
And because of that, and they also had the actors under like a strict kind of like NDA where like they weren't allowed to like make public appearances and all this other stuff. And so in the build up to the film's premiere, there was a lot of buzz that this was like a legit documentary as opposed to like an actual like fictional movie. And it wasn't until it got bought and had wide release that it came out and it's like, okay, like this is a fictional story. Like all this stuff isn't real. But the marketing campaign leading up to this, it used viral strategies. Like I remember, I think it was either at the Cannes Film Festival or the Sundance Film Festival, they put up missing persons signs with like the actors' faces on it.
God
and,
damn.
And so like they got all this coverage about like, like this is the footage that was found, and they used like all that footage to show like the search and all that stuff. And so by the time this movie had come out, a lot of people had just kind of like heard about this. And it's like, oh, I remember hearing about that. Like this is real. Like we have to go see this. And that was one of the reasons why it blew up so much, is because like they'd spent like a year or two just kind of like priming the pump for the viral marketing, so that by the time it came out in theaters, everyone was like so curious about this.
Yeah, it's a genius marketing. Absolute genius.
Yeah, I mean, $60,000 budget with like $250 million return. I mean,
so crazy.
It's crazy.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one we talked about, like, yeah, you watched this the first time, you've never seen it before, and you're kind of sold on this idea that it was real or whatever.
Oh, they got us all.
It's fascinating. It's a fascinating movie, and I'm along for the ride. On the second watch, I just became frustrated.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
yes.
I was like, oh,
Jesus.
God, can we just, we get it. You're
It's
lost.
kind of a bore.
Yeah, it's real boring. And
Yeah.
I was really frustrated because for whatever reason, the first time I had watched it, I had thought, if you would have asked me a week ago, is there actually a witch in the Blair Witch Project? I would have said yes. I would have been like, I fucking remember seeing something like a shadow or like a figure fucking with these people like in the background in one of the shots or whatever, or especially at the house. Nothing.
There's voices.
There's voices. That's it.
Well, there's a scene where they're like running from the camp, and you hear Heather yelling like, "What is that? What the hell is that?" And there was an actor there who was like a member of the crew who was like dressed up as the witch, and they were supposed to see him, but Mike, the guy who was like holding the camera, like forgot to pan over and show it. And so like they didn't have the shot when they were editing. They're like, well, okay, this is what we got to work with. So you never actually see any witchy stuff.
Yeah, I thought
nothing witchy.
I for sure thought like once they got into the house in the middle of the woods that there was like somebody standing in a corner somewhere.
There was,
but it was Mike. It was Mike. It was the camera guy.
We don't know that.
It was obviously him. He was wearing a stupid little beanie.
Yeah.
But it was funny, like watching this now because I'm older now and I go out. You guys know I'm an outdoors person. I go camping and stuff like that. Like watching these idiots get lost in the woods, and I'm like, it's not that hard to get out of the woods, guys.
I said the same thing the whole time. I'm like, the sun freaking sets in the west.
Just follow that.
Just figure it out, man.
It's the curse.
She's all like, we're going north. Yeah, that's the only thing you could say. Like, well, technically it's paranormal, and they were confused because the sun wasn't in the right spot and things were different. Their compasses weren't working. Like you could headcanon that shit out, but to me, I was just getting frustrated with how freaking illiterate these people were with camping.
It is annoying.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, I mean, Matt made the point when we were watching it that in the following sequels, because there were 2 sequels to this movie, right?
Yeah.
2.
I've never seen any of them.
I never seen them either. But apparently, they do make reference to the witch's circle and how they were like trapped by magic.
Okay.
Didn't you watch the sequel last night, babe?
I did. Well, I watched the third movie, which is called Blair Witch. So like the second one is the Blair Witch Project Book of Shadows, I think. Then the second one's just called Blair Witch, or the third one. And if you just ignore the second one because it was so bad, the third movie is actually like pretty decent, and it expands upon the mythology of this movie. And basically, it's Heather's brother who's grown up. It's like however many years later. And there's a piece of footage uploaded to YouTube from someone who was in the woods, and he found like a tape that was buried. And Heather's brother thinks that he sees Heather in the reflection of a mirror in the murder house at the end of the first one.
Murder house.
And so like he gets his friends together to go out to meet this person who found the footage. And his girlfriend's kind of like this filmmaker. And so she has like all this stuff that she's going to document, like him searching for his sister with. And so like they go out and they meet this guy and his girlfriend who found the footage, and they take him out into the woods. And as they go along, the same thing happens where basically like they try to leave the woods, but they just end up back at their original campsite. And then all of a sudden, they wake up after a night's sleep, and it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. They're like, it should be like 7 a.m. And so like time starts getting weird and all this other stuff. And it really kind of lays out in a lot more of a kind of like definitive way, like what the rules are that's happening, and we get to see like the Blair Witch and like all this other stuff.
I might have seen that because that sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, after you rattled all that off, I honestly might have seen that movie.
I've never seen it, but
I don't remember it. I don't really remember it, but yeah, I mean, okay. All that being said, this movie doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of the point. Right?
Yeah,
it's mysterious.
Because once they go out there, everything just kind of goes haywire, and nothing makes sense. Which is the point.
It was barely enjoyable.
Barely
watching it the second time.
Yeah,
the truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah,
the people who are actually from Burkittsville, Maryland, hated this movie.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because
Burkittsville.
Yeah, because they had so many like freaking like tourists coming out there and like trying to like investigate whether the movie was real or make their own version of it.
Keep your big city dollars out of my.
They actually they had their town sign stolen like 3 times as like
the one from the movie.
Yeah.
I'd steal that shit.
Souvenirs.
That's a cool ass souvenir.
Yeah.
Somebody, I forget
I'm
who
in
it
Burkittsville.
One of my friends does like spooky tours, like goes places that like spooky movies have been made and like goes on tours and stuff.
Right.
And I forget who it was, but they said that they went to this town and everyone was so mean.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, we're not showing you. No, we're not doing it. Just
Even
leave.
20 years later.
Uh-huh.
Wow, that's
Where's
crazy.
the crazy old religious lady? I want to get a picture with her.
Right?
You know that lady, so like you know the one who like survived the meeting with like the Blair Witch,
Super skinny.
the sunken eyes and stuff like that. So it was funny because like the directors, before they started filming, they put out a post in like the local papers looking for like, you know, like production assistants, people at the local college who would like come out and help them out. And they only got
Did
one.
it say, "Do you look creepy? We'd love to talk to you."
No, they were just looking for
Open casting for weirdos.
Yeah, they were just looking for someone to like help them out with the production who was like local. And they only got one response, and it was from that lady who was like a college student.
Get out.
And so like she was like, when they saw like how like creepy she looked, she was like, they were like, we have to put her in the film. And so like that trailer that she lived in that we see her come out of, like that was that girl's actual house.
You called her a girl.
She looked like she was at least 48.
Yeah. They were like, we found the oldest college student on the planet.
Jeez.
She has progeria. She's actually 17 years old.
If you were to tell me like all that stuff that they recorded her saying about her being like a doctor, and she had like, if you were to say like, oh no, that was just some crazy person they found at a trailer park and they interviewed her for this movie, and
Very
she just
believable.
ad-libbed the whole thing, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah,
Well,
adds up.
a lot of the stuff in Burkittsville at the beginning was actually like reshoots after the film got picked up, because originally they didn't have like the fishermen or all that stuff to kind of like explain what the legend was. And so like a lot of people on a screening of the original cut were kind of like confused about the ending with like Mike standing in the corner and stuff like that.
By the way, I'm still confused about the ending.
And so basically they went back in and put in that stuff about like the serial killer and like all this other stuff in order to clarify the ending a little bit more. So a lot of that stuff that you see, like I think there's one guy with like a baseball cap on and he's like close up kind of talking about stuff like that was a reshoot. The woman with like the kid was like a reshoot and all this other stuff.
Oh my God, it was so creepy when the lady was talking about the Blair Witch and the kid was like, shh, stop. And she's like, I'm just telling him a funny story. And she's like, stop talking about it.
That kid was freaking out.
Yeah.
And then that kid picked its nose and ate it.
That kid ate that booger, and they put it right in the movie.
Oh yes.
Like that was a real booger eaten. And you know, say what you will
That
about the
kid's
baby.
like 30 today, and that's all he's ever done.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, you're that kid that ate
Ate
your
the booger in that one
remember you.
movie. Yeah.
I remember you.
Speaking of the booger,
Speaking of boogers,
the most
Revenge of the Nerds was great.
the most iconic shot in this movie is where Heather has like, you know, like the camera up in her face, and
with
then
the
she's like, I'm so
flashlight.
scared.
Oh, God, she's got snot
Coming down her nose.
and the actress, like, so first of all, like all the actors were the ones who basically shot this movie. Like they were the ones who were operating the cameras. And Joshua, the guy who was supposed to operate the film camera, you know, he's an actor. He didn't know how to operate a film camera, which is why most of the film footage is out of focus. But Heather, like when she was doing that scene, you know, like they'd have like their campouts for the night. And she actually thought that she had it framed properly, like where like her whole face was in the frame. But it turns out that she had accidentally zoomed in a little bit too close, and so like that's why
That was a mistake.
That was a mistake.
Whoa!
And so like when they got into the editing room and this was all the footage they had, they were like, oh well, I guess it works.
That's the most iconic scene. Wow, that's crazy.
It does work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not supposed to look good, right?
No, it's supposed to be like she's hiding basically under her blankets, and she has the camera like right there.
Like if it was like lit well and framed fantastic, and
It would be different.
and she was pretty, and you're like, oh look, she's a pretty girl in this scene.
Yeah, she's going to be all right.
She's got freaking snot coming out of her nose. I'm so scared right
It
now.
adds to the reality,
It
reality
does.
they were going for,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And you know, one of the funny things is that, so you know, they hired 3 actors who basically were really good at improv in order to play the characters in this movie. And originally, Mike was supposed to be the one who disappeared later on in the film, because Mike was like kind of like the antagonist to Heather.
Yeah.
And Joshua was supposed to have like this like romance subplot where like he had the thing for Heather, and so he was following her out, you know, into the woods and stuff like that. And it turns out that
I didn't get that. There was a romantic subplot in this movie.
Hold on, let me finish. so basically, the actor who played Joshua and the actress who played Heather hated each other. Like they argued constantly during like the shoot, because it was just them out in the woods, right? And so basically, like the filmmakers would have to step in occasionally and like calm them down because like they'd be arguing. And a lot of it had to do with like Mike was in character. So he was against Heather, and then Joshua just didn't like the actress who played Heather. And so like he'd argue with her, and it looked like the two of them were ganging up on her in the footage. And so like they had to cut around a lot of like Joshua's stuff. And it got to the point where they're like, you know, Mike's supposed to disappear, but like, let's just get rid of Josh because he's being a pain in the ass. And when they came up and told Josh, it's like, hey, you know, we're taking you out tonight. He's like, oh, good. I can go to that music concert I've been wanting to go to. And so like he fucked off, and he was like, see you guys later. And the filmmakers were like, you know, this actually worked out better because Mike and Heather were supposed to be antagonistic from the beginning. She's stuck with like the guy that like, you know, doesn't like her. And so like it created some good tension towards the end of the movie. But I just thought it was funny that Joshua, who's like supposed to be like, you know, the love interest, him and the main actress just didn't get along. So they were like, we're scrapping that storyline.
Yeah.
You know,
That was a good call.
Fascinating. I've had more fun talking about it than I did watching it for the second time, for sure. I have two moments that I thought were really well done, and I just want to highlight those. When they're walking into the woods and they start seeing the stick figures in the trees and shit, I was like, that's legit fucking cool. Like being somebody who grew up out in the woods and you know, going camping and stuff like that. Like if I were to see something like that, I'd be freaking out too. So that felt very real to me. I really enjoyed that part. And then once they got into the murder house, and they were climbing up the staircase, and there's like children's handprints of blood up the walls. That's the other part. I was like, dang,
Don't go in there.
Yeah, just don't do that.
There's lots of places to go. You don't have to go in the murder house.
The murder house.
Well, what's funny is that so at a certain point they come into a clearing that has like these little cairns, like little rock mounds in it. And it's not until I think it's Joshua knocks one of them over.
That's when
that
the witch
supernatural stuff starts happening.
Yeah.
And so like
oh, I didn't catch that.
You didn't catch that? Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, the movie's saying like, okay, because they disturbed this one thing, the witch kind of
is now following them. Yeah.
And is going to get their revenge for disturbing like that cairn.
It's like, cause they were in this area and nothing was happening. And they're like, oh, we're not getting any footage. You know, we're not seeing anything, whatever. And then that one dude, like as like an asshole, just like knocks over the pile of rocks. And then once that happens, that's when the witch starts messing with them, and it gets progressively worse every night. And then there was one scene where they were like, no fires, no flashlights, because every time we have a fire, they find us or whatever. So they don't have anything like that. And then that's one of the worst nights that they have. That's when they actually start jumping out of the tent, like running out in the black into the field or whatever.
And the actors didn't know night to night what was going to happen. Like they would get to their campsite, you know, as planned.
They must have been so exhausted.
And yeah, well, so like basically like at these nights where like the production crew would run up and start banging on the tents, and like the actors were like legitimately like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
You know? And a lot of this stuff was just like ad-libbed and genuine reactions, because the filmmakers specifically kept the actors in the dark about what they were going to do. Like the sound of the children crying in the woods, it was like boom boxes, you know, that they were playing like, you know, these sounds, and the actors would like wake up and be like, what the hell is that? You know?
Hey man, I go camping a lot. I hear shit like that.
Dude, you hear a twig break in the woods. I start getting nervous.
I bought this giant ass freaking flashlight that has like a freaking, I don't know, full circle. Like it's like a football field. It's huge, super bright. I was out camping recently, and exactly the thing. I heard something. Didn't know what it was.
Oh, it's out there.
Heard something.
Chupacabra.
Yeah. Out here, I'm terrified of the freaking lore behind the skinwalkers. Like that shit's scary as hell. Like they say your name, or they scream, or they do something weird.
Don't
like
go
that.
looking for
Don't
it.
go looking for it. So I'm always packing. I've always got my sidearm, and I've always got my giant ass flashlight.
Squatching.
So I want to talk about the ending of this movie real quick.
Go for it.
Two things. So like Tom, you said you didn't understand the ending. Were you just being facetious, or is that like a legit thing that you didn't understand?
I don't understand what you want me to explain. There's a guy standing in a corner. Two people get knocked unconscious.
That was Mike.
The end. Okay, what am I to understand? How are you going to blow my mind? Go.
So basically, the legend, the town local legend, was that there was this guy who heard a voice of an old woman who told him to like murder children, and so like he'd kidnap 2 kids at a time. He'd make one stand in the corner while he killed the other one, and then he'd kill the kid that was standing in the corner.
I missed all that.
And then after he did like 30 child murders or something like that.
It was only like 7.
Or 7, something like
not
that.
to say that that's not a lot of child murders. That's still too many child murders.
Well, after a certain number,
too many child murders.
He basically came out. He gave himself up to the police and said, like, I'm done now. The old woman who was telling me to do this has let me go. God. And so like that was like the local legend of like the serial killer. And so like at the end of the movie, when you see Mike standing in the corner, it's meant to kind of symbolize that like, okay, whoever the serial killer was is either, you know, a ghost, or like this is the witch's MO where she makes someone stand in the corner as she kills the other person and then kills that person. Mm-hmm. And so like that was kind of like the connection there at the end. But there's this alternate theory that fans have come up with over the course of time.
Oh, this has got to be better.
Yeah. So basically this theory is that Joshua and Heather used to date, and, you know, they broke up, and Joshua and Mike collaborated with one another to lure Heather out into the woods and murder her, and then cover it up by blaming it on a local legend. And so like that was like the thing that a lot of people who like this movie are like, okay, this is basically just like an elaborate murder plot by these 2 guys.
But neither of them survived.
Well, they disappeared.
Didn't they?
I mean, I guess you never see a body.
Dun, dun, dun.
The most out of Josh that you see is like a bloody rag and some teeth.
Could be anyone's teeth.
Did you catch that?
Wait, you can get some teeth? I can get some teeth.
I'll get you some teeth.
Yeah, give me an hour. I'll get you some teeth, bro.
Did you catch
Blood
that
gnaw.
was presented to her as a gift in his shirt that he had been wearing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was this plaid shirt.
Yeah.
It was creepy. So it's weird. So we started off thinking about this as like a shitty movie, and then as we talk about it, we're all like, "Yeah, that was pretty freaking cool."
It's not
still a shitty movie.
It's not shitty. It's just not rewatchable.
I saw this movie 5 times in the theater.
Oh,
when it
you
came out.
would.
You, of course.
God, you
Jesus
film
Christ.
nerd.
I was
that
still
guy.
nerding out. Yeah.
He had a beret on.
You look like Jamie Hyneman from
Yeah.
freaking Mythbusters.
Yes.
No, I was like,
He
this
said,
is-
well,
this-
actually, 17 times after it. Well, actually, what you didn't know was.
I saw this movie in the theater. I was like, I could make a movie like this.
Yeah,
Like this is something that is totally doable. And in fact,
We did make a movie like this like 2 hours ago in the kitchen on your phone.
the filmmakers
More
who
believable.
did this movie, they bought their camcorder, their Super 8 camcorder at a Circuit City. And after like 6 days of filming this movie, they brought it back for a full refund. It was like all dirty and like banged to shit. But they were so desperate for funds that they were like, we got to return this
God.
video camera.
That's hilarious. All right, let's do final thoughts. And can you rate this movie, Tom? Go ahead.
Can I write this movie?
Rate.
Oh,
Can you
boy.
rate it?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so it's I saw it in the theater the first time, right?
Mhm.
And it did leave a mark, right? I never watched it again because really you don't need to. You watch it once and you're good. That being said, it's been remade so many times in so many different ways that it kind of takes a lot away from the majesty of this thing and like the whole thing that they attempted. If I wanted to rate this before all the other kind of copycat styles came out, I'd rate it higher. If I had to rate it on what I watched the other day, it'd be like a 2.
Okay.
It wasn't very enjoyable. It's boring. A nice campy soundtrack would really liven it up a little bit. Yeah, 2. It's not rewatchable. You watch it once, one and done, and you're good. If it's on at the background at a party you're at, that's probably the best way to watch it because you don't need to listen to a damn thing.
What kind of parties do you go to where they play Blair Witch Project in the background?
Cool one.
I could see this playing on the screen at like Millennium Fandom Bar.
Yeah, it's just playing in the background, and you'd be like, "Oh shit, it's Blair Witch." I remember that.
Yeah, I
you
remember
don't
Blair
need
Witch.
dialogue in this movie. It doesn't matter what they're saying.
No.
You can see the mini freakouts and the snot and the boogers. And you get it. You get it,
Yeah.
man. I don't need to hear the lure of the child murderer, corner murder. It's creepy enough at the end that the guy's just staring in the corner, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
Right? It's creepy enough. That being said, you watch it once and you don't buy it. Don't buy it.
Okay. Jude, final
Yeah.
thoughts. Go to rating.
So this truly is a one-hit wonder, and the marketing was fantastic, and this had never been done before. So the first time you watch it, you're really blown
Yeah.
away, and like everyone went to see this and was talking about it. So based on that experience, this was like top of the line. Like no one had ever seen anything like it before. But, you know, however long later, 20 years later, at least
23 years later.
Yeah. The rewatchability is just not there. It's kind of boring once you know
the gimmick.
Once you know that it's not real, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
And it's not a great rewatch. The sequel was a fucking mess. So I'm going to put it somewhere in the middle, and I'm just 2.5 witchy sticks.
Okay.
Witchy sticks.
Witchy sticks. All right, Kadish, who saw it 10 times in the theater, give this a rating.
Yeah, you know, even when I saw it all those times in the theater, I didn't think it was like a very good movie. But like I was so fascinated by it and the marketing around it that I went mostly for like the audience reaction to the film. But you know, it was kind of funny because like when we went to watch it again, you know, me, Jude, and Tom, we went over to Tom's place, and these two talked throughout the whole movie, and I couldn't really like follow it because like it was just them talking the entire time.
We were a couple of bottles in by then.
We were having fun, man.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to watch it again just to make sure like I didn't miss anything because it's been a few years since I've seen this movie. And then like last night before the podcast, I watched the sequel to it, Blair Witch. And you know, like I have to give this movie credit, not just for like, you know, the viral marketing that it kind of pioneered, but also the innovation with which these filmmakers, you know, made this film, like the whole, like give the actors stuff and make sure that they improvise and give them the scenarios and surprise them with stuff. And then, you know, they somehow assembled a movie out of this thing that went on to like, you know, like 1,000 times its budget type thing. And so like, on entertainment value, this movie is basically like 2 snot bubbles out of 5, but I'm going to give it another half star just for the innovation that was shown in this movie. So 2.5 snot bubbles.
That's fair.
It's fair. Yeah, it's fair.
I think it's so fair that I'm unfortunately going to have to mirror exactly what you just said. Like rewatchability is not there. It's not a rewatchable movie, but I have to give it credit for the mark that it left on like pop culture.
Yeah, it created a whole subgenre of horror movies.
Yeah, and there's not a single person out there that loves movies that's never heard of and or seen the Blair Witch Project. It's like a staple of like nerdom. Not even nerdom, just like movie buffs. Like everybody's seen Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have to give it a lot of credit for that. And as far as entertaining goes, if it's a first watch for you, you're going to be sucked into it, and it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be fun, and you're going to like allow yourself to believe that this actually happened.
Watch it alone
in the dark with like a freaking headphones on or some shit.
Don't watch it with friends and get drunk. It's not going to play. It's not going to play.
Yeah. I mean, if you like this movie, I'd highly recommend checking out the Blackwell Ghosts.
Oh, here we go.
No one wants to watch that.
So 2.5 for me. All right, that's it for the Blair Witch Project. Comment below. When did you see it? Did you see it in theaters? Did you see it afterwards? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. The next movie on our list, the one we've all been waiting for, Tommy Wiseau's The Room. Stand by. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. If you guys would like to support the podcast and support what we do here, go to saltynerdstore.com and grab some merch. We'd love to see you guys wearing some of our cool stuff. I've got the Salty Nerd official logo on. It's my favorite one. It is available at the store. And if you type in Salty in the checkout counter, you get 10% off. So help support the podcast and wear some awesome stuff. Spread some word about the podcast as well. And head over to saltynerdstore.com and help us out. All right. The next movie on our list, Tommy Wiseau's The Room.
Oh, hi, Alec.
Did you guys notice Kadish's shirt?
What is it? Oh, it's the Christmas Tommy Wiseau. What does it say?
Oh, hi, Santa.
It says, "Oh, hi, Santa."
Oh, hi, Santa. Fuck this movie.
What do you think? Get Tom a shirt. Tom needs a shirt.
I'll
You
get
don't
you a
have
shirt.
any, do you?
Which one would you
You
like?
guys have never even suggested offering me any compensation
just
for the
did.
work that I do.
Well,
For,
you
for
are an
this
amazing
show.
person.
For the work that I do. For this
You
show.
do. We'll get you a shirt.
I
Which
mean,
one do you
I
want?
brought over wine.
Text me.
You
Free
brought
alcohol.
that wine for yourself.
Yeah, the only reason Tom's not drinking is because he has to work after
That's
the
true.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We
Anyway,
have fun.
The Room. Jude, take it away.
2003, The Room, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour 39 minutes. This had a budget of $6 million.
What the
How? What?
I almost cussed you out. How,
What do you think this brought into the box?
I'm gonna throw peekaboo out the window. This is bullshit.
We're going to talk about why it costs so much.
This is bullshit.
Oh my god!
It cannot cost that much.
It cannot.
It cannot.
You're killing me.
I hate this movie with a burning passion. Oh God, $6 million?
Was it a theatrical release?
Sort of.
Sort of, yeah. There's a funny story behind
So
that.
can we say there was a box office?
$25,000. I don't fucking know.
Tom?
I don't know. What was popcorn sales? Because that's probably fuck. $50.
$4.9 million.
It's impressive.
Eventually.
God.
Eventually. What does
Eventually.
eventually mean?
Kadish?
Do you want to fill us in on why it made that much money?
Oh, well, I mean, like it became like a cult hit,
Ugh.
but it was funny because like, so Tommy Wiseau pumped in a lot of money in the marketing of this movie. And, you know, he kept the movie in the theaters in one theater for like 2 weeks. He paid to have it in there, even though nobody came to see it, in order to have it qualify for an Oscar contention or Oscar nomination. Because you have to have like a 2-week theatrical run in order to be like eligible for Oscars. And so like he paid to have it in there. And on the last day before like it was set to like leave the theater, these 2 guys came in and saw this movie. And they were like, "This is the most brilliant movie we've ever seen in our lives." And it was guys I think who worked at Cartoon Central, Adult Swim, and they kind of like told all their friends about it and created this like movement where it became a big midnight movie. And since then, Tommy Wiseau has taken it on tour across the country and around the world.
That's how I saw it. It was on Adult Swim. Yeah, that's how I saw it.
Well, Adult Swim for like a couple of years would play it on every April Fool's Day, and then like, but the midnight showings is the thing that really kind of like made the budget back and the merchandise sales from it. In fact, if you follow Tommy Wiseau on Twitter, he's still pimping the T-shirts and stuff to this day. So, but this movie did what it was supposed to do. It made Tommy Wiseau a star.
And you lived in LA when this was being marketed. And didn't you used to like drive down the street and see the billboard for it?
Yeah, there was a billboard for this movie it was Tommy Wiseau's face with like the half closed eye. And it was on Highland Avenue. And I used to drive up and down that road all the time, just like, you know, going around town. And I'd see this billboard and I thought it was like a one-man play because like that's what it looked like. But, you know, he had that billboard for 4 years after the movie came out. And that was like the only real advertising he did for it. But like everyone who lived in Hollywood was exposed to that. And they were like, I wonder what that room is thing. And eventually it became like a cult hit and stuff like that. But it was kind of funny, like learning the story behind this, because I don't know if you guys know this, but Greg Sestero, who plays Mark in this movie, he wrote a book detailing the making of this film called The Disaster Artist that was eventually adapted into a movie by James Franco. But that's an excellent book. Like if you're just a fan of like filmmaking and knowing how movies get made and stuff like that.
Plus it's hilarious.
Yeah. Read that book, watch the movie that is based on the book. It's really fascinating. It brings like a whole new level of appreciation for this movie in particular.
You guys ready for the synopsis?
Yeah, take it away, Jude.
All right. Johnny and Lisa are the perfect couple with the perfect life until Lisa gets possessed by an evil spirit that starts tearing Johnny apart. They need an exorcism quick, so Johnny's best friend Mark offers to slip her some power of Christ to compel her, but Pazuzu is too strong, and not even gentle lovemaking on top of rose petals can set her free. The Babadook forces Lisa to cheat on Johnny, fake a pregnancy, and call her poor cancer-riddled mother a controlling bitch. We just want to help you, Lisa. When Johnny realizes there is no Lisa, only Zool, Johnny, realizing he's no John Constantine, does the only thing he can to fight for the woman he loves. Throws his TV out the window, rubs her dress on his dick, and shoots himself in the head. Discuss.
I hate everything that this movie represents.
This movie sucks so bad.
I hate everything. Not only does it suck, I despise what it does to people like Kadish.
He's into it.
Because he's into it. Nobody actually likes this movie. This movie is horrible in every respect, and people only like it ironically.
I just remembered your text from last night that had me rolling.
Oh, yeah. So this bitch, Lisa, at the end of the movie when she's wearing that black cocktail dress and she's at the fucking stupid birthday party or whatever, and she's got her hair all teased up and she's got the bangs. I took a picture of her and a picture of the dude from Princess Bride, the pit of despair, that guy. And I'm like, I knew this bitch from somewhere.
You think you're old? Look at her now.
I'm like, that is the same person. I don't even know how to say what I feel.
You're so frustrated.
I feel you, bro.
I despise that people like this movie so much.
No one likes it.
Nobody actually likes it.
Everyone wants to be clever. That's the problem. I want to be clever. But,
I like the room. Dude, so this movie's available on YouTube. I made the mistake of scrolling down a little bit to the comment section.
Yeah.
Every fucking comment is the same. Every comment is, this movie is an unrealized masterpiece. Like, fuck you, dude.
You want to meet those assholes?
Hey,
they'll have scarves on.
This movie and Morbius, okay?
Yeah. Well,
I just can't. Like, no, you don't like this movie.
But we could dissect every single scene in this movie and find something so hilarious about it.
it's okay. Yes, because it's so bad.
Yeah.
It is hilarious.
It moves
now,
the benchmark of so bad it's good.
It's not so bad it's
No,
good. It's
no.
so bad it's hilarious.
no, because if you watch this shit by yourself alone, you will kill yourself because it sucks. And if you watch it in a group, like any really bad movie is good in a group,
Right?
Because you can mock it the entire time.
Right. Sure.
The point is, this is a serious film. This is
It's
not,
so earnest.
This is not intended to be a joke in any way.
Yeah.
In any way.
And that's what makes it a joke.
No, it's not a goddamn joke.
It's not a joke, though.
That's
It's
some
just,
hipster bullshit. Shut up. This movie sucks.
There's 3 obnoxious, pointless sex scenes within the first 30 minutes
Lisa's
of this movie.
boobs are the best thing in this whole freaking movie.
They're not that great, though.
That's what I mean.
So, like,
Her mediocre boobs are the best part of this movie.
like,
Look at them.
I'm watching this movie and I'm like, I'm pretty sure Tommy Wiseau just wanted an excuse to make softcore porn. That's the only reason I can think.
No, he was making serious about the movie.
No, that's bullshit. Like
We have human sex.
there's only
now.
there's only one reason why you have this many sex scenes and this little amount of story. It's because you just wanted to make porn, dude. Just be honest with yourself. Like it's just a dumb bad
For
movie.
$6 million, I could have a lot more sex.
So 10% of this movie is sex scenes.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
It's like compared to like the total amount of runtime for the film, the amount of time spent showing lovemaking is literally 10% of the movie.
I fast forward. I
27% is roses.
After the first sex scene, which I think takes place in the first 6 minutes of the movie,
Less than.
after that point, I just hit the skip button because I'm not.
And like Tommy Wiseau doesn't know where the vagina is.
Oh no, he was having sex
It's a
with her
fact.
belly button.
I'm
Like
gonna
his ass cheeks were like in her midriff area, and he was just like thrusting, and I'm like, what are
his
you doing?
weird hairless body.
and there's this thing where he was insistent that he show his ass in this movie because that's what was going to sell the film.
God damn it. I hate everything
And
about this.
it was funny because like in the first sex scene with Lisa, you know, the actress. So originally there was a different actress cast. And in fact, most of the actors in this movie were the understudies for the actual actors that were cast that eventually left the film.
Yeah.
And so Lisa was like the second, or the actress who played Lisa was like the second actress to like fill the role. And when she was doing,
It bothers me that you care so much.
well, when she was doing the sex scene, she had a little bit of acne on her back. And so like Tommy was like very critical about it because he's like, we need makeup on this. It looks ugly. And so like and it was an open set. Like Tommy Wiseau didn't know about like closing the set when you're naked and stuff like that. And so like the actress was very uncomfortable during the sex scene. And Tommy Wiseau decided later on that he's like, you know what? I want to do another sex scene. And she's just like, no. And so like they had so much footage from the first sex scene that they didn't use that they just reused it for the second sex scene with Lisa. And it's kind of funny because like if you watch the love scenes between Lisa and Tommy Wiseau or like anyone,
He doesn't know how to have sex.
well, it's not just that he doesn't know how to have sex, but it's that he has this idea.
He doesn't know how to have human sex.
He has this idea of what like a romantic sex scene is supposed to look like, and it's like we got to have candles. We gotta have like a waterfall feature. We have to we have to have like you know, stuff hanging from like the bed frame.
Linen. We need more white linen.
It's like something from like a 1990s like Skinamax movie where he's like, this is what is romantic.
Like
Those red candles look witchy.
the waterfall thing, like the set that the room is in, there's no water anywhere near that, but for some reason the camera goes behind a waterfall And it's just absurd. That's the only It's the only reason people like this movie is because of it. It's so absurdly bad. There's nothing redeeming about it. So we have to mock it.
Why are you trying to yuck my yum?
And then when we mock it, and then it gains popularity because everybody's just having a good laugh. And I almost feel bad for Tommy Wiseau because like he's just a running joke.
Well, we're laughing at him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why this movie works on the so good it's bad or so bad it's good level. And that is because it is so genuine. Like this was Tommy Wiseau's genuine attempt to make like a serious like character piece about like betrayal and love and like all this stuff. And it just fails on every level.
Every level.
He is an alien.
He's not. Yeah, he's not a real person.
He's not.
And it's funny
He's
because
not.
when you watch this movie, because Tommy Wiseau would always like flub up his lines and stuff like that, everything had to be like
he wrote the damn thing.
Yeah. But everything had to be re-recorded in post-production in order to like make it
Shit, what's the word?
Yeah, I don't know.
Illegible?
to make it being able to be understood.
Audible?
Yeah, audible.
So
and the thing is that the sync is just a little bit off, so like everyone's mouth doesn't quite match with what they're saying.
Yeah.
But I love you.
Yeah. And you know, you guys asked like, how did this movie cost so much money? And you know, because Tommy Wiseau was not an experienced director or producer, but he wanted to like come off as like a big shot. Like he did things like instead of renting the equipment, he bought the equipment outright. He bought like this like initial director's package from the equipment rental place, and it came with like two 35mm film cameras and 2 HD cameras. And Tommy Wiseau didn't know the difference between the two. And he's like, we're going to shoot both. And so he built a special rig to put like the 35mm camera and the HD camera side by side. And so this movie was actually shot on 2 different formats. They ended up using the 35mm format, but like they could have saved so much money if they'd just like gone with one or the other. And he also spent a lot of money building sets that he didn't need to. So like they had an alleyway and a rooftop that they could have shot on, but he had them build, you know, sets for those things within the studio because like it was like a more like Hollywood type thing to just shoot on a set. And he actually had like his own personal bathroom built on the set that no one else was allowed to use when he was like.
It just had like a shower curtain across it.
Yeah. I'm so disappointed
because he's not a human, and the way he excretes his whatever.
Georgia.
Yeah,
like
no, thank you.
I don't know what the reviewer was. I don't know if it was I don't know, some YouTube reviewer said that
we should look up a
This-
proper review from the year it came out.
this Tommy Wiseau is an alien who is trying to emulate what he thinks humans act like.
Yes.
And that's the only explanation for how bad this dialogue is. Like the people that they're having conversations amongst each other, like it makes no sense. And then this creepy, like,
oh, hi, Alex.
Like this creepy 16-year-old kid, like they're having a pillow fight or whatever. And the kid just
to watch you guys.
jumps in.
And the actor who plays Denny is the oldest member of the cast.
Oh my God.
Other than like the mother.
That's so creepy.
What did you just say?
and then like later on, he comes up and he sees Lisa and he's like, hi, you look so hot. Can I kiss you? And she's like, oh, you brat.
I don't get it either.
I don't get it.
What about the drug dealer?
Chris R.
Chris R.
He showed up one time. And
what was the point? There's no point in that happening.
Well, you know what was funny is so like originally they shot that scene with Chris R. and Denny.
Stop explaining it like it makes sense, man.
No, they shot it on the alleyway set where they were throwing the football later on.
Yeah,
they threw the football a lot in this movie. Which set are you talking about?
And Tommy wanted to reshoot it, and so like they decided to put it up on like the rooftop for whatever reason. And so you guys know Mike, the Me Underwears guy, the guy who like makes out in Tommy's apartment with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. How can I forget?
So the actor who played that part, like he broke his arm, and he was wearing a cast for some of the later scenes that they shot. And so Tommy Wiseau didn't notice it when they were shooting it. And so like one of the crew members pointed out, like, hey, you know, Mike's wearing a cast. Do we have an explanation for that? And Tommy's like, oh no. And so like they went back and reshot the scene of him falling down and hurting himself in the alleyway. That was the purpose of that scene. But then Tommy Wiseau decided to cut out the scenes with him wearing his cast.
So he just falls for no reason.
He kept in that scene where he like hurts himself. And you know, this is just like emblematic of like Tommy Wiseau's like inability to actually like make real decisions. Like for instance, if you
grasp humanity.
well, 90% of this movie has nothing to do with the actual plot of the film. Like if you go
What
from
is the plot of the film?
It's betrayal, man.
yeah, well, like if you go from about 10 minutes in when we see like the affair with Mark to the party at the end of the movie,
Where
you
she
could cut
forcibly raped that guy.
you could cut out everything in between there
Ugh.
and like still get the gist of the movie. If
Oh
you
my
wanted
God.
to.
Lisa's switch from just being moderately unhappy with this guy to being fucking evil
Yeah.
is on a dime.
She goes like full evil in
Yeah.
this, and which
And then she's like, and if Mark doesn't give me what I want, I'll just find someone else who will.
yeah,
Like, I thought you loved him.
it's so bonk. Ugh, this movie's so bad.
I mean, the funniest thing about this, so originally Tommy Wiseau wrote the script for this movie to be a play. And when he couldn't get it made as a play, he turned it into a novel. And when he couldn't get it published as a novel, he turned it into a screenplay. And there was originally going to be a subplot in the movie where it was revealed that Johnny was a vampire because Tommy Wiseau loved vampires. But when he couldn't figure out how to do the special effects for vampires, he cut it out.
What? Fake teeth?
No, he wanted them to fly around San Francisco in his car. He
What
wanted
the
his
hell
car
did you
to
just
fly
say to me?
around as a vampire.
Dude, the
God
guys from What
damn
We
it.
Do in the Shadows need to remake this and just add a new character. Tommy Wiseau could be the new freaking What We Do in the Shadows character.
I mean, Tommy Wiseau is basically a
he's
vampire.
basically a vampire.
He has like weird skin and like creepy eyes. I mean, just you put some
And
fangs
he's
on.
unusually fit.
Well,
You see how freaking muscular
Yeah.
he is in
No,
this movie?
that's just heroin, bro.
you know, another reason why this movie
That's like
costs so
saying Iggy
much.
Pop is fit. No, that's not what that is.
Another reason why this movie costs so much is because whenever Tommy Wiseau had to like act, he would flub his
Can we
lines.
quote,
act?
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Can we act?
quote unquote act. He would flub his lines so much that you know like a single line of dialogue would literally take 8 hours for them to like get like a usable take from. And in fact, he went through like 3 different cinematographers. So like the first 2 cinematographers he fired because like they would argue with him and like he didn't like them. And then they finally found a cinematographer who didn't give a shit. He was like, I know I'm working on a piece of crap. As long as the check clears, I'm good. And that's the guy who ended up shooting the rest of this movie.
Well, isn't like a big part of the disaster artist is like they couldn't believe their checks kept cashing.
Yeah.
They just kept making this movie and they just kept getting paid. And Tommy Wiseau was just like an unlimited amount of money.
This movie had a crew of 400 people.
What?
400 people made
What's
this
a
use
normal amount of people on a crew? Just
For a small-time
For
movie?
perspective.
I mean, like
Blair Witch Project. How many people were on that crew?
there were like 5 people on
That
that
seems
crew.
like enough.
I mean, typically
To make this movie.
on a low budget feature, like you'd have like a crew of between like 35 and 50 people probably.
Okay.
But this one, it shot for like a really long period of time. I think it was like 40 days, and employed 400 people and had like sound stages and like.
And then didn't he also have somebody doing like a documentary about it
Yeah,
while
he
they were
had a
filming
behind-
it so that he could spy on what people were saying
Well,
about
it
him?
wasn't necessarily that he could spy. Like he genuinely wanted like a behind the scenes making of it, but it just so happened that the guy captured everything that everyone was saying about him, which was like he's incompetent and all this stuff. You can actually find it on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even want to.
Alex, are you going to be very disappointed when we have Tommy Wiseau on the show for an interview?
What? No.
He won't talk to
I'm
us.
gonna be like, dude, I don't even know what I would say to somebody like that.
I'd be afraid to talk to him.
Oh, hi, Tommy.
Oh, hi, Tom.
I feel like he might bite me.
Do you think he's in on the joke?
He doesn't
He
get
is,
it.
he is now.
No, he's not.
Well, he's come out and said like, "Oh, I made intentional comedy because people like it."
Fuck off. No, you made
Yeah.
a bad movie, dude. And it just
Damn.
happened to catch the right
Look at him.
humor.
Look at him. He's a monster.
Oh, hi, dog.
Like honestly, if he's
You're my
not,
favorite character.
if he's not a vampire, I don't know what he is.
It's just
He's an alien. He's not real. He's a time traveler. He's something. He's not from our world.
Yes, this is. I agree with you.
I also liked the character who plays Peter, which is one of the friends who's like a psychiatrist in the movie. He
He knows so much about this goddamn movie.
well, I read the book, you know, the disaster artist. But
I read the book too, but I don't know that much.
the guy who played Peter, the guy with the glasses. So like he had another acting gig that was scheduled to.
Why did you read the book?
To start? It's a good book. It's
Let
really
him,
good.
let him finish his thought.
Yeah. So like this guy
I
had
have so many
another
thoughts.
acting gig scheduled, and he told Tommy about it when they started filming. He's like, I need to be done by this date because I have another gig. Tommy's like, oh yes, no problem. And so like the shoot went over schedule, and the guy had to leave, and so they replaced him with a whole new actor as a whole new character during the party scene.
That guy looks nothing like Peter, too.
You don't see Peter ever again after he like falls down during the
That was supposed
game.
to be the same guy?
That was supposed to be the same guy at the end.
Allegedly, yeah.
The dude who was like giving him a pep talk or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Like, Lisa, what are you doing? You can't
The
do
other
this.
random friend.
The other random friend. That
Yes.
was supposed to be the dude with the glasses. He was like a
Yes.
therapist.
Yes.
That's what
Oh my God.
That's what the book says.
And they lost the actor, so they're just like, oh, I just put in new actor, new character, it's fine. And
It's so crazy.
the best line in this movie is when Tommy has locked himself in the bathroom after the party, and and Lisa comes up to talk to him, and he's like,
In a few minutes, bitch.
and apparently when he recorded that line, the entire crew started cracking up, and he's like, what is so funny? I don't understand.
Yeah, it was the most believable dialogue in the entire movie. It
Just
really
his
was.
delivery of it.
It was fantastic. They, as bad. Look, say what you will about the script, say what you will about the cinematography, say what you will about Tommy Wiseau. Everyone sucks in this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone sucks. They all have horrible delivery. They're all like dumb robots reading choppy lines. It's insane.
The second best line is when the mother says,
I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer.
And when they were filming that,
And you go,
the actress was like, does this come back ever? And they were like, what do you mean? It's twist.
I don't get it, dude. I'm not in on the joke.
I don't get it either. It makes me so upset. And
Yeah.
I am a legitimate fan of terrible cinema. I will watch bad movies all day long.
you love Samurai Cop.
Well, that's actually a good movie. So.
Blue Moon Cinema.
Dude, that thing is very enjoyable.
I agree.
This is not redeeming in any way.
Yeah.
It's mostly nudity, and it's not redeeming.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's bad on all accounts.
It's bad. I am a firm believer that I could make a better movie than this with $300 starting now and finishing next week.
So who's a better filmmaker, Tommy Wiseau or Neil Breen?
Who's Neil Breen?
Are you serious? The guy who lives here in Vegas who makes all the terrible movies?
Up in the mountains.
Really narrowed that one down. Oh, you don't know Neil Breen. Let me. You know.
Sorry.
And you say you're a fan of bad cinema.
Pretty sure his
Yeah.
name is Neil Breen, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't
Look,
know.
look. This is
Is this the worst movie ever made?
This is the worst
Ever.
movie ever made, and maybe that does give it some majesty.
No, Easter
right?
Bunny Kill is the worst movie ever made.
Please stop bringing it up.
For different reasons.
I'm not familiar with that film. All I know is this is resoundingly the worst movie ever made. Right?
Okay.
We pretty much anyone who's anyone will agree.
They say it's the Citizen Kane of bad movies.
But which is true. It is absolutely true that it is so bad that you have to give it some credit. That it is unredeeming in every single way. In every single way. Nothing saves this movie other than the fact that it is the worst movie ever made.
What do you think the message was behind this? Where like, oh, I love her so much and I can't have her, so I'm going to end my own life.
I don't know, man. I saw
Like-
Romeo and Juliet. I'm getting a lot of Shakespeare vibes out of this film.
Is that what he was trying to do?
I don't know what he was
So-
Kadish, why don't you tell us what he was trying to do?
So the theory is that
Oh, he
this
knows.
is semi-autobiographical in terms of like having a woman betray him, but he also wanted to put in a lot of like James Dean and Marlon Brando type stuff to like give him acting chop
This
moments.
is my Brando moment.
Yeah.
Marlon Brando, I can see. That dude, I know he's super famous for being like super Hollywood royalty, but like he read most of his lines off of key cards.
Dude, you need to watch young Brando movies, okay? Because like Brando was like one of like the greatest actors to ever live.
Yeah, but like
young Brando was
everything
the
that he's
shit.
super famous for is his older shit.
That's not true.
All I really know Brando from was Apocalypse Now.
See?
And he is awesome in that.
Apocalypse Now, Godfather, even
I've never seen Godfather.
You never seen Godfather?
Never seen Godfather.
He read his lines off a cue card.
I could have been a contender.
I mean,
I
at
could have
that
been
point,
somebody.
that's old fat Brando.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Let's not forget that we're talking about the stupidest movie ever made.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's not talk about Brando.
Sorry.
But
Fair
that
enough.
whole scene where Tommy Wiseau goes,
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
that was from James Dean, Rebel Without a Cause, where
Oh,
he's,
okay.
he's like,
You're tearing me apart!
so
Oh,
Tommy,
yeah,
Tommy
you're right.
Wiseau wanted to, kind of like invoke these greater actors with like,
Channel them, yes.
yeah,
Sorry.
channel them for his performance.
I'm trying to figure out what he's humping in this scene.
So,
Ribcage.
so is he,
Poor
by the way.
ribcage.
So is he, by the way. He's just poking around in the dark.
Oh God! All right, let's do final thoughts. Please end this. Tom,
What?
Is this a one-star crap fest?
is it even a 1-star movie? What would you give this?
Okay, like I said.
If you saw that, you watched this for the first time on Amazon, and you were like, give it a rating.
Well, I'll tell you. Okay, the first time I saw it was on Adult Swim.
Okay.
If you guys remember Adult Swim,
Is
it's
that Tim and Eric?
well, it was like I think it was before Tim and Eric, but it was around like Aqua Teen Hunger Force time and all that. And every once in a while, they would just put something so weird on there.
Yeah.
It was remember we were making you watch those when we were in Denver.
I do remember that.
There's just all these really weird things they made and put them on at the middle of the night, and they're terrifying and strange. And this is how I saw this movie. I didn't finish it. I never finished it. I only it's so bad. But I guess that's what's so special about it, right? It is actually a movie. It was actually made. It actually cost $6 million. There's scripts and editors, and there's a craft service table.
God, I could retire.
There's a goddamn green screen. You know, there's special effects in this movie. Okay, that being said, it is the worst movie I have ever seen, and I've seen a lot of bad. And it's only bad because they don't think it's bad. And that's what makes it so much worse. Samurai Cop was bad. They knew they were making a shit movie.
Yeah.
They just went along with it. This is like they're trying to act, and they're all bad. Everything's bad. 5 stars.
Shut the fuck up. You're tearing me apart, Tom. You betrayed me.
I'm fed up with this world.
Because it is the worst movie ever made. You couldn't try to make a movie this bad. You can't. It would come off as funny. You cannot.
Our
try.
Viking Cop movie is going to be bad, but it's going to be better than
No,
this.
but it'll be bad. But you can't make this bad. Yeah. You can't do this.
Wait till you guys see Church Ninja.
Church Ninja.
Jesus. Look, it's not really 5
We're
stars.
right here right now.
Oh shit! All right, Jude.
This movie's bad.
Okay. Throw up noise.
Okay.
Copy. Jude.
This is so hard.
Don't betray me.
Because I have no loyalty to you. It's so hard because Tom is absolutely right. It is the worst movie ever made. However, like the first time I saw it, I was so blown away by the absurdity of it that I was like, this is somehow fantastic. Not good,
Oh, here we go.
but there's just something so bizarre about every aspect of this
Well,
that you can't look away. I'm not going to give it a good rating because it doesn't deserve that. I think it's successful in becoming a cult classic in spite of itself. It happened to get lucky somehow, and now everyone's seen it. It's still terrible. I don't know what to rate it. So I'm gonna do something I think I've never done before and give it 0 blowjob faces out of 1,000,000.
0 out of 1,000,000. Perfect. Yeah. Okay.
That being said, I could watch it again.
You're drunk.
You can't just watch it again.
There's no way. I've taken pride in never seeing this movie before. I knew how famous.
It's the first watch?
It's the first watch.
Oh,
I
God.
knew how famous this
boy.
movie was. I knew everybody had seen it. I knew James Franco made a freaking weird spoof, like documentary spin-off thing. I knew all this. And I was like, you know what, world? Fuck you. No.
That's
I'm
right.
not
That's right.
watching
That's
this
the
fed
right
up with this
answer.
world?
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
That's the right
and
answer.
then when I was scrolling through our schedule for the podcast and I saw The Room, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, I didn't use my veto power.
You were like, how did that sneak
I
past
did.
me?
It did. It snuck past me, and I was like, how did I miss this? I would have vetoed that. It's a 0-star movie. There's nothing redeeming about it unless you're looking at it completely 100% ironically.
As being the worst thing
As
ever
being the
made.
worst thing. I can't, I can't do that though, because I watched this movie. I almost didn't finish it. I was like halfway through. I was an hour into this movie.
It's
and I was like,
crazy.
I'm like, can I please stop?
It's crazy.
And this guy was like, suck it up, bitch. And I was like,
I was like, if you made me watch The Happening, you're gonna watch The Room.
it's 0 stars, 0 out of 1,000,000. It's not good. Don't watch it. Don't ever watch it again.
You don't need to watch this.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever see it again. Kadish.
All right, so looking at this movie objectively,
You got a look in your eye. I don't know where you're going with this.
I don't like that look, Maverick.
looking at this movie objectively, it's like a half star at best, right? Like it's
half star for boobs.
Half star for boobs. It's terribly done. But looking at it from a subjective entertainment value viewpoint, this is out of the realm of bad movies. This thing is 5 stars. This is a 5-star
it's a total
bad movie.
Yes, that is a fact.
Movie, because I remember the first time Jude and I watched this movie, we were cracking up the entire time, and so like there is entertainment value associated with this movie, and the thing that I think makes it work is like it was a genuine attempt at a what do you call it, like a passion project type thing, and it just failed on every level. So anyway, 5 stars out of bad movies, half a star for objective viewpoints.
Okay. All right, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us. What did you think of these movies? Heathers, Blair Witch Project, and The Room? Let us know in the comments below. Tom, I know you got to get out of here, so where can people find you on the socials?
If you're dying to see me on the socials, I got an Instagram, Big T2681. I'm not too active on there, but if you add me, I'll add you back, and we can say hi to each other.
All right, 10-4. Jude, where can they find you at?
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram and on TikTok.
Matthew Kadish.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter. KadishBooks.com takes you to our Amazon page. And be sure to sign up for our newsletter by going to saltynerd.com/list. We send out a newsletter every Monday giving you updates on our new releases and what we got going on in the future.
All right, everybody. That's it for the podcast. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to support us. Go to saltynerdclub.com. Join our Patreon. There you can get exclusive content available only for our Patreon members. And everything is ad-free over there. So we do appreciate the support. We know times are tough. The algorithm is not friendly to content like ours, so we need all the help we can get, and that comes from you guys. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Stay salty, my friends.